ACCUSTATS Video Productions presents from the Sands Hotel in Reno, Nevada, the Sands Regency number 17. Along with Mark Wilson, I'm Bill Incardona, bringing you the feature match of the evening, Mike Sigel and EARL Strickland, a classical matchup. These two players have played one another many times in the past. I heard of just recently, though, Mike Sigel has the edge of the times they've recently matched up. I was just told by Tony Allen that Sigel has beaten Strickland the last 4 times they played.
Well, that's interesting. I've run into both of them and outside the tournament after they played each other before, and it's kind of amusing. Regardless of which one wins, the other one will be saying, "Boy, you just can't believe how lucky that Sigel is," and Sigel will be saying, "You can't believe how lucky that Strickland is." This is going to be an interesting matchup. Both players are playing good. The table's breaking good. I feel pretty honored to be here to host this feature matchup.
The table, the feature table has been giving up balls on the break, as we noticed when Parika played Lane, the preceding match. Both players were making balls on the break with regularity. Sigel starts the first game of the match making the corner ball on the break, but he allowed the cue ball to go forward. Notice the one ball is at the other end of the table. The cue ball has gone forward on him, creating a little more difficult of a shot for the opening game, something that really he didn't want to start out with, but that's what he has. And right away he has an option or a decision to make. You know, he can position the cue ball behind a 3 and play a safety, or else he can just go ahead and cut the 1 in. He's thinking very offensively right now. He defeated Johnny Archer a little earlier in the afternoon, 13-3. He just defeated Tony Allen 13-9 after Tony had a 9-8 advantage on him at one time in the match. So therefore, he's feeling very confident about.
Well, this is a shot that the players call twirling the cue ball, and that's low extreme English and just feather the 1.
He put such a good stroke on the ball and spun it so nicely that he overcut the 1. It's hard to do that considering how hard he hit the ball.
Well, we call that missing it on the pro side by overcutting it there. The amateur beats it into the end rail, and the pro, when misses it on the side that's harder to get to, which would be too thin. Looks like Earl's lining up a safety shot here. Bank the 1 ball up to the end rail. Use good speed and good judgment both.
And good direction. He certainly did. Good, and good. Good judgment, good speed, and good direction. And the results, something that Mike Sigel really isn't happy about.
No, what he has here is a 2-rail kick shot, and he's thinking right now if he wants to land on the 1 heavy or thin. It looks like it'd be better to land on the 1 thin and let the cue ball come back up by the 8, but naturally the difficulty in doing so is negligible. And he landed a little thicker than he intended.
No, it really doesn't look like he's left him some gimme shot. He still has to come with the combination and control the 1 ball. Oh, looks like he's opted to play it safe. He's left Mike Sigel a channel there to see the 1.
And when you're playing in this league, you just can't leave a safety that allows the opponent such easy access to the object ball. You very seldom come away from this with an edge. I think now Mike is going to attempt to play a safe back by bringing the cue ball back over by where it's at now. Moving the 1 to the other end of the table.
I tell you, he was quite fortunate the 1 found a place behind the 8.
Well, he might not be fortunate. If Earl can kick this and land pretty heavy, he might be able to stick the cue ball and move the 1.
Well, he didn't get it behind deeply enough for him to stick the cue ball, and he allowed the cue ball to escape that area of the table where he desperately needed it to end up. Mike Sigel steps to the table. He may have a portion of the pocket.
No, this is a safety shot he's looking at, I think. He's going to move the cue ball down here underneath the 4 and bank the 1 up table. Look at the nice speed he used on that. And now Earl's confronted with a hit, but very difficult to make a shot that's going to be good. He's
Well,
coming right out of it perfect.
Can we have a hand for Jerry Brunstetter, please? Jerry, it's a new day Brunstetter. Determined that.
Earl looked up at us in the booth, pointed to his head, and said, "Knowledge, knowledge."
Enough said.
But the man at the table isn't short on knowledge either.
Oh, no. Well,
Mike
Thanks,
Sigel, regarded as the winningest player in the history of the game.
there was nothing to do there but kick and land solidly on the ball and hope for the best. There just wasn't much of a play there. Now Earl's confronted with either a thin cut in the side or a cross-side bank, and he's sizing up the shot here. Looks like he's looking at a bank. No, played the cut. Brought the cue ball around, bumps a 2, perfect. And I would venture to say that Earl run these balls out post-haste. Game number 1 goes to Strickland.
Game number 1 does go to Earl Strickland, and he takes the early lead in the match, 1-0.
Well, he made a good shot, but he was fortunate to hook Mike as well as he did when he had the half mass say that, because there just wasn't much of a shot there other than a hit, and then you got to land pretty good on that one ball to have it turn out as well as it did. Okay. Earl marks up his game. Gonna start the cue ball off on the side cushion. Examines the rack. Meets his approval. Now we'll get to see the patented Earl Strickland break.
Well, looks like he's going to come up dry on the break. Mike Sigel steps to the table
Boy.
with an opportunity to tie up the match. Now, it's not often that Strickland comes up dry on the break.
And he hit the balls harder than what the other players had been hitting them, and he got less out of it than what they've been getting.
And so what does that tell you?
That luck plays a big part of this, and that
That you better cut down on the velocity if you expect to make balls on the table, on the feature table.
I don't know that it says that.
Well, it's says something like that.
Well, now Mike's presented with a pretty nice layout to negotiate. The 6 ball presents a little bit of a problem, because I don't believe it clears the 8 into the corner pocket that's the most direct for it. Mike's playing well and he's moving well, and Earl's just coming off a loss. It'll be interesting to see how he plays here. He's been known to go on tilt, so to speak, where maybe he has a hard time getting back up for it after a hard-fought loss. Play another match right back to back. I know I do.
Well, that shot, I really wouldn't be happy with that shot if I was Mike Sigel. I don't believe he's played himself in very good line, especially when you consider the 8 blocks the upper right-hand corner pocket.
I think he's going to cut this back into the corner and go 2 cushions to get shape into the side pocket.
He's going to cut it on the side and go 2 cushions around the 9 for position of the 6 on the side. The problem with this shot is the position of the 7. It lies on the left-hand rail. Now, if he's able to avoid contacting the 8 after pocketing the 6, then he can go cross table for the 7. Very, very close shot here. He was worried about the 8 so much that he hit it a little too softly. Now he's confronted with a little more difficult shot. He would have much preferred to get much straighter on the 7 than he ended up. So now the speed of this shot doesn't lay real well, you know, as far as speed.
This is an awkward shot. It's just amazing how just a couple, an inch or something here or there makes the shot completely more difficult or less difficult.
And that was a very, very good pull shot Mike Sigel displayed for us. An excellent pull shot. Mike Sigel is very confident. I can tell by the way he's addressing the ball, the way he was talking prior to the match.
Yeah, he's feeling good.
And that's game number 2. It's one game apiece. Sigel, Strickland. Now Strickland came up dry on the break. Sigel made a ball on the break and he broke them.
Good luck.
Now this was the shot that actually won the game for Mike. One of the shots that won the first game for Mike that he's won. He pocketed the 5 in the side and applying a left-hand English, going 2 cushions around the 9. Well, it goes, and he ends up getting positioned for the 6 in the side, and then wins the rack. He gets a nice kiss off of the 6, pushing the 1 in play.
He opted for the same break he used last time, and this time he's got some pretty favorable results. Now the 5 ball offers a little bit of difficulty in getting on the 6 if you don't obtain just the right angle, doesn't it, Bill?
Absolutely. And the position of the 6 is actually cutting off a lot of the area that he would like to take after pocketing the 3. He would like to attain a straight angle on the 5 or even get below the 5 a little bit to get back up table for the 6, but the 6 ball may preclude him from doing that, the 1 cushion route down table. So he might opt to go almost straight in on the 3, using the draw shot here, the draw angle, going 2.5 cushions, 1 cushion, the side cushion, and back down table for the 5. This is the best way for him to run the rack.
Boy, I love the way he got on that too. I think he's really used good discretion here.
He's fallen quite a bit below the 5.
I think he's still all right, though. I think he's going to stop and think a minute and get it clear in his mind, and then he's just going to execute a nice shot here. Now, the worst thing that can happen here would be the cue ball to get on the end rail. Then he would be forced to bank the 6, and that's the part of the negotiation here off the 8 that he has to be concerned with.
I'm not quite sure whether I'd play a safety or not here. I might even play a safety because it looks like he's going to go 2 cushions, maybe into the 6 if he happens to pocket the 5.
I think he's playing offense.
Off the 8.
He's going to come out of this all right. Perhaps not ideal.
Now, once again, he's going to have a little bit of a problem here, but I think that he can cut the 6 ball thinly enough to hold the cue ball near this left-hand side pocket for position on the 7, applying a little bit of inside English on this shot. Looks like he's going the other route. He's using outside English, spinning it 4 cushions below the 7.
And that's a good choice. It offers you the opportunity to stroke the ball a little full, or a little more firmly.
And he couldn't have hit it any more perfectly than he just did.
Yeah, he played that nicely. Used good judgment. Now he stopped the ball a little short of the mark here, and he may be forced to go around the table yet again. And he's executed it perfectly. And he's feeling pretty fast and loose. If Mike continues to break the way he has, this match could be a runaway in a hurry. But the same goes for Earl. If he gets a game under his belt and gets on his break, it could go the other way. The outcome of the match, score-wise, may not be indicative of the skill or the way the players played.
Two to one favors Sigel. Feeling very comfortable out there. The last rack that he ran wasn't an easy rack by any means. He showed tremendous skill and knowledge in running that rack.
Well, he's presented with a difficult shot to begin here. Looks like he may be forced to push out. Never an easy task to push out to a player of equal or better skill, shot making wise. Nearly always you're forced to push out to some type of a defensive shot or kick shot. Well, what do you see here, Bill? Looks like he's opting to kick at it right away. Boy, I don't know if I like that at all.
I don't like kicking here.
I would like to push the 3 down by the 6 perhaps. Oh, I see.
He played a safety, and he played that safety, positioning the cue ball behind the 4, 5, and 9, knowing that the 2 would go up table toward that upper right-hand corner pocket.
Now that was a fairly imaginative, inventive safety there, wouldn't you say, Bill? And I think Mike would be perfectly well within his right to point to his head and say knowledge a couple times himself.
A little more modest of a player than Earl, but not by much. Earl opting to tie up the 4-5. Now the 4-5 is dead, it looks like, possibly. If he would play the 2 into the 5. If he would play the 2 into the 5, there's a good chance that he could pocket the 4.
Oh, terrible, difficult shot, Bill, from where it's laying. I don't predict that we'll see him play that shot. I think he's looking to get an angle on the 3 here that might allow him to come into the 4-5 or possibly play a position to play another safety. You hate to have to go to too many safeties here, especially starting with ball in hand, but this is a very tricky predicament, and if he would come 2 cushions at this breakout, there's a chance he could scratch off the edge of the 4 or the 5 down here in the corner pocket. He's looking at the safety right now where he's got his tip of his cue. And he may be able to play a safety with a bank shot, possibly banking in the 4 and having some kind of a shot on the 5 if he makes it, and if he doesn't, obtaining a save. Needless to say, many things can go awry, all these plans.
Well, that's exactly the way he's playing it, the way you suggested that the shot should be played. And he'll come down table 2 cushions. I don't believe he's going to try to break it out or even play at this angle. I think he's going to come down 2 cushions possibly and play for the angle, the bank, the 4 cross side with the built-in safety.
Well, that's not laying real good either. With the 7 causes quite a bit of a predicament. I think he is going to, well, it's debatable either way he goes.
I think he likes the latter better because he's a little more secure with the last shot because of the safety factor.
He's got it clear in his mind what he's going to do here anyway, and that's something very important for the viewers, is to get it set in your mind what you want to do before you bend over to execute the shot.
No, that's the reason why this shot wasn't as good as the latter, the second shot, because if he plays himself a little out of line here, then he traps himself with this position. The other way, he always has the ability to do something in regards to his safety.
Well, looks like he's going to try to thin this ball with draw and attempt to play a very difficult ball. May in fact give him a leave if he hits it well, if he overcuts it, but if he hits it fat, he's going to be in trouble. He hit it fat and he's found himself in deep trouble as far as winning this rack. The the position that he left himself in, there really wasn't much of a choice there. He had to go with the pocket. It was very difficult to play safe. And if you don't hit that ball fat, the scratch looms quite large.
You know, he didn't have any other shot. He only had one shot, and that was to go for the pocket. Earl Strickland has a fairly difficult shot to get position on. And,
you know,
nicely done.
In Mike's behalf, you can't just constantly play the safe route. I mean, you've got to make some offensive things happen here. To be a world champion, you're going to have to get out from some spots that you maybe rather not have to shoot at.
Well, I definitely agree with that, but I still feel that the safety was more in line in that particular situation.
I don't necessarily agree. I think it's hard to fault Mike's decision-making. Even if he gets safe, that doesn't mean that you win the rack. But if he does happen to get out from where he was at, you do win, and you're back at the table. Safety with these guys, boy, they hit a lot of balls, and a lot of times they can turn the thing around on you. And sometimes you got to be offensive-minded. But we certainly don't lack for any of that in these two players. They're both offensive-minded.
At the end of game number 4, Earl Strickland and Mike Sigel are knotted up 2 games apiece.
Quick glance at the rack, and Earl heads down for the beads. Marks his game, scores 2 apiece, heads for a new break spot. After turning up dry his last break. And now we're going to get to see a Earl Strickland patented break from the middle of the table. Cue ball got away from him just a hair. Lo and behold, he's going to turn up dry again.
Mark, let's go back to that shot where Sigel had that decision to make. He opted to play the cue ball for position on the 4 in the lower left-hand corner pocket, falling short of the mark, obviously hitting the point to the side pocket, thrusting him back, and that's where he ended up, and that's where he made his mistake.
Now, Mike has a real good opportunity to run out here. Reestablish control of the match and the table. Well, getting on this 3-ball good is the key to this rack.
And he really doesn't have many routes to take. He's going to try to control the cue ball going in between the 8-ball and the side pocket, playing for position on the 3 in the right-hand side pocket. Or maybe he'll go straight up the table in between the 8, the 3, and the 9, which would be better.
He fell on that just perfect.
No, Mike Sigel really is a true technician, and that's what we're watching out there now. We're watching a true technician. I really love the way he plays. He's a very intelligent player, excellent shot maker, and he knows how to run the balls.
Yikes.
He allowed the cue ball to get away from him there just slightly, and Earl was really unhappy with the results. Thought he probably should have scratched him aside, but nonetheless, he's still able to stay at the table with a very good shot on the 5.
You know, you always have such good assessments of players' strengths and weaknesses. What would you say is the strengths and weaknesses of both these players?
Well, Mike Sigel's strength definitely is his knowledge and his shot-making ability. He doesn't have really any weaknesses other than possibly his confidence. Every once in a while, he gets down on himself and he doesn't play up to his ability. Earl Strickland, well, his strength naturally is his break, his shot-making ability. He's a little haphazard at times, unlike Mike Sigel. And I think that of the two, I think Mike handles adversity a little better than Earl. So right now, that's why I kind of favored Mike Sigel slightly in this match, because Mike was coming off of a win. Earl was coming off of a loss to get to this position. Game number 5 goes to Mike Sigel, now leads in the match by the score of 3-2.
Yeah, maybe Earl being just a tad bit more offensive-minded, or maybe it could be described as haphazard. He creates some opportunities for himself in some matches that Mike wouldn't receive, but then on the other hand, when those things go awry, then that's what takes him out of a match.
Earl definitely feeds on his offensive skills at the table, but he also, he also fails to respond when he starts to doing things that he doesn't like or that goes against him. Then he fails to perform quite often when those things start to happen.
Well, Mike's made another ball on the break. Has virtually no chance to. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've seen him run out from here before. He likes this rail first because it offers a safety possibility here. If the 3 isn't in the way, he may play the 1 all the way up in the corner, rail first, and bring the cue ball up the table. I don't know that the shot's laying perfectly for that. I remember he ran out of rack like this from a tournament he played in Memphis against Buddy Hall a few years back.
I like playing the 1 in the corner pocket. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rail first.
I like that much better because in the event that he misses that shot, he could end up with a safety.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
He's decided to push out. And I look for Earl to play that shot.
Which
now.
is a good choice, by the way, because now he's allowing Earl at the table to make a decision. Hopefully, he'll make the wrong decision. That's what Mike's banking on right now. Because Mike didn't want to shoot that shot because he knows it's shooting it against the odds. He's going to give Earl a chance to shoot the shot against the odds. Let's see what Earl does with it.
Well, he created a little more angle for himself. That was the idea with his rollout. He was a little flat on that ball before to really make that cue ball come on the other side of the 2 ball down here where he'd like to be. And I think he really made a good shot, a good decision. And that's the same shot he made on Buddy Hall in Memphis. And he started out the set running the first 3 racks from the shot.
And that's an excellent observation on your part, by the way, of noticing the shot was available immediately. And Mike executed it as nicely as he did to make you look really great.
Well, I
Good
studied
call,
this,
Mark.
Mr. Sigel before, and I know a lot of his shot selection. So
He's going to push the 4 over to the side cushion, making it much easier for him to play position on the 4. Oh, I thought that he could pocket the 2. Apparently, obviously not.
he wanted to get behind the 8, which he didn't quite do, but it nonetheless is still a very difficult lead for Earl to negotiate. He's elevated in the air, and he's going to be almost forced. Well, I shouldn't say forced, but you hate to use English on a shot like this elevation because you get so much masse with it. Makes the hit awful difficult. Earl chose a nice amount of discretion there, not trying to do too much with the shot, coming out best you could have dreamed of.
No, he came out of it smelling like a rose. I mean, he's really made Mike Sigel's job extremely difficult.
Well, which way do you kick? That's what he's surveying now. The 5 kind of is in the way to come across it to knock the 2 at the 7. But there's no scratch possibility if you go this way, provided you make the hit. He makes the hit. Nearly scratched.
Well, there was no immediate scratch possibility. So we
Yeah.
one of the, convenient pockets.
Mike's a good billiard player, by the way. He's also a good right-handed player. Well,
See, now Earl's really precipitous sometimes when he plays. Mike Sigel, much more deliberate player, may have not hit the point of the side, realizing that it was there.
yeah. Yeah, Mike would have done something to negotiate that. And sometimes Earl creates some things that Mike wouldn't get because he wouldn't go for things that are a little lower percentage. Earl's just such a terrific shot maker there. He made a nice shot with soft speed, loaded it up with left-hand English, and comes back into position here. Beautiful. Earl gets the remaining 2 balls. It'll make the score 3-3, and we've really got a great match going here.
Yeah, we certainly do. Earl Strickland, in the meantime, one of the strengths of his game has been abandoning him, at least at this point, and that's the break. Now that we're talking about the break, let's go to Mike Siegel's last break. He did pocket a ball in the break, but he really didn't get the action that Strickland's getting. He gets up in the air, he follows through nicely, but we're not seeing the balls open up right now. Here's one right there. Okay.
And if you notice, he didn't hit those maximum velocity there. His stick usually bends quite a bit more significantly on the table when he's up there in the upper range of the break speed.
Well, there goes the ball in the side pocket, and he's also he's just scratching the side pocket, and he batted the ball around with his cue stick, showing complete disregard for his cue stick. But fortunately, it's one of those. What type of a break cue does he have?
Q-Tech.
Q-Tech, but it's made out of some sort of graphite, which he can afford to hit it against the cue ball without it marring or nicking it up.
Yes, he's never been preoccupied with cues. He's been known to shatter them, bang them around.
How many cues would you say he goes through in a year's time if he's playing unlucky?
Well, certainly more wooden cues if he was playing with a wooden cue. Look at that nice billiard on the 7th.
And he opened up the entire rack by shooting it like that. 7 and falling in front of the side pocket. There are 3 players that I really enjoy watching tremendously, and those 3 players are Buddy Hall, Efren Reyes, and Mike Siegel. It appeared that he may have hit that on the thin side there, a little more thinly than he needed to, but obviously not. He was able to put it down quite nicely.
Well, Mike is going to regain the lead here.
Yes, and unrelenting Mike Siegel does regain the lead by the score of 4-3. That's a good shot of the beads, Pat. I like that. Mike has the white beads. Earl has the red ones or the orange ones. And there's also a shot of some of the players or some of the spectators that we have here at the stands. Now there's a smart lady. She brought her own seat with her that has a back. Now that's why I don't like to sit on the bleacher seats, because they don't have a back for support. But that lady is pretty intelligent, bringing our seat along with her so she can comfortably watch the matches. Once again, we'll take a look at Mike Siegel's break, this time live. Okay, the ball's opened up better for him this time, but he came up dry. He failed to pocket a ball on the break, leaving EARL Strickland a shot on the 1. I do believe the 1 will pass the 3 in the upper left-hand corner pocket. If that's the case, the balls are opened up. The Earl's body language kind of suggests to me that the 1 will not pass the 3, but I believe it will.
Yeah, I think what Earl's body language suggested was that it's only half a pocket, and that he prefers to have a wide open pocket. I think if Mike's going to win this match, he's going to have to switch sides of the table he's breaking from. Because if you remember in the previous matches we watched on this table, the balls seem to be going in from the other side of the table when you break. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see his next break take place from the other side of the table. And I think Earl also realizes that the other side of the table is the better side. That strictly has to do with the way the balls lay out there in the rack, as to which side of the table is more advantageous to break from. It's terribly hard to discern without just the experience of watching the balls on that particular table at that particular time.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. But Earl doesn't seem to be very happy about the results here.
Yeah, he might be just a hair off angle or a hair straight in.
Now, if he goes any further than that, he's going to have a problem.
Now, this is a little bit difficult.
This is tricky. That side pocket's a very big pocket if he opts to go forward.
Well, on the angle here, it's a kind of a half-speed shot, and this is a half-stroke. It's difficult to negotiate. He hit it pretty good, though. No problem. They just let the cue ball come back up to the middle of the table.
EARL Strickland coming back now, tying up the match 4 games apiece. This is the type of a match that we figured to see from the offset, you know, close, sharply contested match, because both of these players, you know, are really close. EARL Strickland has a great break, is a great shot maker, and when his confidence level is high, he's almost invincible. Mike Sigel right now is playing extremely well, and he has defeated EARL Strickland the last 4 times they played or faced one another. That's what I was told, at least. I don't know for sure.
The viewer's been seeing Tom Kennedy run on a rack on the adjacent table, and we'll also see some stats here.
That's Tom Kennedy, the U.S. Open champion.
Here comes Earl's big break.
Ahead of Greg Fix by the score of 7 games to 3.
Earl broke from the other side of the table. Yeah, he drove one in.
Well, let's take a look at the stats. Sigel shooting a 933 to Earl's 968. Both players well above world-class speed, particularly Earl, who has pocketed 30 balls and who has yet to miss a ball. Mike has missed 2 balls. But Earl's only foul was on the break, or his only mistake, actually, was on the break when he scratched on the break. Other than that, he's played a perfect match.
Well, Earl played that shot wide open.
See, now there's something that Earl did that Mike Sigel may not have done. You know, Earl took a chance to play the high-risk shot, banking the one cross side, and yet he was still unable to attain a shot on the 3, which is the next ball, positioned near the bottom cushion. So not only did he take a difficult shot, but he didn't get the position had he made it.
Sigel opens up the rack with a real nice shot.
And that shot required a special type of a stroke to get the results that he got with it. Something that I didn't want to let go unnoticed. You know, you had to put like it's not a draw stroke or a follow stroke, it's an in-between stroke. You had to force it, kind of like, and he did it extremely well. Once again, applying extreme inside English, creating another angle for position for the 4.
Those are the shots that set apart the classes of players. You have very good players, and then you have world-class players, and the world-class player is able to hit that half stroke.
He's played himself a little out of line here, Mark, overrunning his mark by about, I'd say, a good 6 to 8 inches. Now he's going to have to come with a little shot here. Very nicely done.
And no problem for Captain Hook when he's feeling good.
The angle that he has here seems to be a bit awkward. If he's absolutely straight in on this shot, the 8 ball creates a big problem. He's going to have to try to draw around the 8, or else if he has a slight angle, he can follow the ball 2 cushions.
Pretty good speed. He didn't want to get it to the rail, but
no,
he still has a good shot.
He certainly didn't want to get it to the rail. By getting to the rail, he's reduced the angle on the 7 considerably, and now he has to elevate and play position for the upper pocket.
Well, if he goes after it in the manner of that he had his cue there, elevated in the air, and he makes the shot, that'll be a world-class shot.
Well, what he wants to do now, I believe, is he's going to elevate once again. He's going to play position for the 8 ball in the side pocket. Or he's going to try to play position for the 8 ball.
I think he's going to go for a little more sure bet on pocketing the ball here. This is a difficult angle to hit that elevated cue stroke from.
That was a nice shot, using inside English as the cue ball was frozen on the side cushion. Certainly diminishes the accuracy of the shot somewhat, but he was still able to put it down and come up with a real nice shot on the 8.
And once again, he used good judgment.
And once again, he takes the lead, this time with the score being 5 games to 4 in favor of Mike Sigel. EARL Strickland seems a little disgruntled out there, you know, and he's losing a little bit of his composure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think sometimes he uses it as a means to motivate himself.
Let's take a look at the shot Earl Strickland opted to shoot that cost him this rack when he banked the one cross-eyed. Notice that it was a tough shot. Had he made it, he still wouldn't have gained position on the 3, which is at the bottom part of the screen. That's the ball near the bottom cushion. So therefore, I think that he should have taken a lot more time, not only in shooting the shot, but, you know, considering what shot he really wanted it to shoot. That shot there, I don't think was...
Yeah, he's a go for the juggler type of a player, and like I said before early in the match, he creates a lot of opportunities off that. He gets the right kisses and fires in the bank or two and makes a kick shot, and he's off and running, and he can hit you with 4 or 5 racks from those
exactly.
shots.
And when you
and when he's not running good, then he looks like that's why he lost, you know. But a lot of his game comes from shots like that.
And that's a little bit of the haphazard play that I said that he had, and Strickland didn't, and that was one of the reasons why. He was a little bit of a dog in the sense in this particular match. Now he went into the 8 and he came up with a pretty good shot on the 2, providing that it passes the 3 into the side.
Rolls the 2 in nicely. Got a couple nice shots here, the 4 and the 3 and the 4, but he still needs to create a little angle and get an angle, get over on the 5. I'm sure he's concerned with that right now.
He's going to have to draw back about 4 or 5 inches, I would think, to get the nice angle that he wants. So now he played it differently. He went forward, and now he's kind of like straight in. He's going to try to draw it back and try to avoid contacting the 7. If he runs into the 7, it'll put him in. Well, he had a much better angle than I thought.
Well, this rack has been by no means a cupcake, but he's made it look pretty easy. He hit that ball a little fat.
At the end of game number 10 in the seesaw battle, it's tied up once again, 5 games apiece. Just keeping house right now, Mark. Cleaning off the table in front of me. Got some sugar there. I just ate a couple of sugar donuts. I don't get much time to eat around here, you know. Underpaid, overworked. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Was that your mom that sent those over here, Bill?
Okay, back in action. This is game number 11. The score is tied up 5 games apiece.
Well, there's a little better break.
There's the Earl Strickland break right there. Pocketing 5 balls on the break. That's all, just 5. And this is what makes Earl Strickland considered as the most explosive. This is why Earl Strickland is considered the most explosive player in the world, because of his break.
And, well, that goes hand in hand with the chances they take. He'll create an opportunity by trying to bank like he did that game that he lost, because he knows if he gets to the head of the table here to break him, that he can deliver a big blow to his opponent. And that was a much more difficult shot than maybe one would believe it to be.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's playing his game out there. He should never have missed that shot. One of the best shot makers in the world. He may be feeling the presence of Captain Hook, possibly. as Captain Hook when he's on his game. He overcut that ball. He actually played position for the 9 in the lower right-hand corner. He hit the 7 ball so thinly that he was unable to attain the shot on the 9 that he anticipated getting, so therefore the ball went to the right of the 9. I look for him to cut the 9 in here because he's been seeing the balls extremely well, particularly the thin cut shots.
Hey, he hit it good.
And he did hit it good. And now Earl Strickland finds himself trailing in the match by 1 game, 5 games to 6, due to that shot on the 7 ball that he missed in the corner pocket.
Well, Mike's an opportunist, and when he sees his opponent get a little down on himself, he loves to take advantage of it there because he knows how that hurts you.
Well, let's take a look at Earl Strickland's break, okay? And maybe we can get it back up on the screen. Here he goes at the table, and look at his form. He puts everything into it. Notice he puts his shoulder into the break and everything. Now watch the balls disappear.
And
1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 4 3/4, and like he did before, 5 balls on the break.
Mike's break is not nearly as effective.
No, and it isn't nearly as effective. That's why Mike's going to have to play it a little bit better than Earl if he expects to win.
You know, even after Earl's break, and as devastating as it was, he was a little dissatisfied with the fact that he didn't have just a simple stop. And he didn't get good position on any of the balls that he played position for, and it ended up costing him by having to make a difficult shot on the 7.
That's a very nice shot by Mike Sigel, positioning the 2 ball behind the 4, allowing only a portion of the ball to be hit. And when you allow your opponent only to hit a portion of the ball, then you restrict him from doing quite a few things. Now he's very limited in what he can do right now. So therefore, he may have a big problem getting out of this trap because there aren't many places he can send the cue ball without giving up a shot.
I think that's one of those shots where you have to go rail first with the English and try to hold the cue ball on that end of the table, or the object ball on that end of the table, and bring the cue ball this end. But he's tried something altogether different.
Well, yeah, he didn't come out of it too badly either, by the way. He hasn't left Mike a shot in either the side or a cross side because the 3 sits in front of the other side pocket.
And due to the fact the cue ball is on the rail, he hasn't left him an easy safe.
So the predicament that Earl Strickland faced, I think he fared quite well. He came out of it looking pretty good.
Hey, pretty much turn it around. I think Mike's just going to cut this ball into the side rail.
Actually, Mike made an excellent shot.
Yeah, it turned out good, but I don't think that's what he was trying to do.
He tried to position the cue ball in that area in hopes to hide the 2 behind the 3-5 also. In the meantime, he's left Earl a very, very difficult combination. I don't even know if he'll even play the combination. So therefore, it looks like Mike's managed to work his way out of that little problem that he was confronted with there.
Looks like a safety here. I think he's going to bank the 2 up by the 4. Look how nice he's hit this, Bill.
Very nicely executed.
What a shot.
And now Mike has a severe problem here. He doesn't have much to work with here. Matter of fact, I would venture to say that this kick is quite difficult.
Yeah, I look for him to hit slightly downward on the cue ball to get a little draw effect.
Not able to hit the
foul.
2. I think he fouled, hitting the 9 first. Strickland has an opportunity to once again knot up the match. And from the way Earl has been breaking the balls, particularly the last time he broke the balls, he's going to be hard to hold.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
That's the thing about Earl Strickland. You know, he can be in a match, and it could be a pretty close match. You know, then all of a sudden, he just busts loose and he disappears. That's just the explosiveness that he has.
And he's well aware of it. He can even document the times that he comes from behind to beat players that have a pretty big lead on him, what would be almost insurmountable for other players.
I played Earl Strickland in Greensboro, in South Carolina. Greensboro, South Carolina, is it? And I was really playing well. I had him 8 games to 5, raced to 11. He ran 6 consecutive wrecks and out. Never had another shot. Just stole the match away from me. So therefore, he's a threat. He's a threat, regardless of the score. You know, he can surmount leads you wouldn't believe would be impossible to surmount. After game number 12, it's Earl Strickland 6, Mike Sigel 6. Let's take a look at Earl Strickland on that safety that he executed so perfectly in the rack. He just rolls the ball down, contacting the 2, sending the cue ball behind the 7. The lazy, lazy cue ball behind the 7. Well, but it did get there. And then Mike Sigel stepped to the table, and he happened to hit the 9 first, giving Earl Strickland ball in hand, and that was the end of Mike in that particular game. Now, Earl went into the side pocket. You know, he's breaking the balls extremely well. He's getting a lot of action, but he went into the side pocket. Well, if Earl has anything that aided him, that's going to help him in this racket, that's the position of the 4 and the 5. Mike has to do some pool play in this rack if he expects to get out.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see a safety come about the time he gets to the 3 ball here.
I'll tell you what I like here, Mark. I like playing position for the bank on the 3 ball cross corner, going into the 5 off the bank, because the way the 3 lies, it doesn't. You know, he could bank it. It's not a difficult bank. If he would go down table, he could play position for the bank on the 3. Now he's going to try to draw back hard enough not to disturb the 4 that much where he can get hooked or anything, but just hard enough to move it to the cushion where he may open up the upper corner pocket.
And if he doesn't like this at all, he may just go ahead and play a stop shot for the safety.
And that's exactly what he did. He played the stop shot for the safety. A very heady play, and another good call, Mark.
I'd look for him to freeze to the 5 here. No, not quite. But he did get the 4 ball
he
clear up
definitely
table.
wanted to freeze. He's very unhappy about this, by the way. Very unhappy about that shot. He wanted to freeze because he knows that if he leaves Earl Strickland a kick here, a lot of good things can happen for Earl or against Mike. Had he frozen him on the 5 ball, he probably would have gotten back to the table with ball in hand.
Due to the proximity of the 4 ball, not a lot of good things can happen here for Earl.
If he can get behind the 4, he can stick the cue ball right where
that's a
it
big
is.
if. Well, he got behind it. He came out of it not that bad, really.
Yeah, because if he can get behind it, he's going to send the 4 back down table. The cue ball figures to stay up table somewhere. And that's the reason why he was really unhappy, that is Mike Sigel, was really unhappy that he didn't freeze the cue ball to the 5 when he played his safety.
Yeah, this is a difficult angle to negotiate. Mike doesn't like it. This is a shot that a lot of players opt to use a little more force with rather than try to use finesse because it's such a long-range, testy shot.
But he's just going to have to hit it with some speed and go into the 5
That's what I
and
think.
take his chances.
And he hit it with a real nice speed. He didn't overhit it, but he used a little more force than what maybe you would like to do in order to cinch a position.
Yes, exactly. He used good judgment in playing position, knowing that if he went into the 5 with no English, he would increase the chances of pocketing the ball, and he knows that the 5 wasn't going to travel that far, so he should be able to come up with some sort of a shot on the 5. And with his excellent shot-making ability, he figured that he probably could handle the situation from that point.
I really enjoyed that shot. I did.
Not as much as Mike.
No.
Now, once again, in this seesaw battle, it's Mike Sigel that takes the lead this time, 7 games to 6.
You know how so often we got some stats here.
And if you look at the stats up there, Mark, they seem quite close. Earl Strickland shooting a .932, Mike Sigel a .939. They have both missed 2 balls. Earl scratched on the break twice. That seems to be the difference in the score right now, is that Earl scratched on the break twice. Mike has yet to scratch on the break. And that's why Mike Sigel enjoys that 1-game advantage. Earl is outbreaking him, though, but he has scratched twice.
And note Mike has switched sides of the table here, and I think that will give him an advantage here to go on and win the match.
Exactly. Mike Sigel is no one's fool. He saw Earl breaking from that side of the table and very quickly said, that is the side of the table I'm going to start breaking from.
Well, I think that coupled with the fact that he didn't have very good results from the other side, he broke him a couple times and he didn't get much.
Exactly. He figures to brush to 6 slightly here. And the harder he shoots the shot, the more the 6 he'll brush.
I think he'll use soft speed and a lot of English to get enough speed, or maybe he didn't even have to worry about it. It looks like he hit it firm enough that that wasn't in play.
Let's take a look at the break stats very quickly here. Earl Strickland breaking the ball 6 times, pocketing balls twice on those 6 breaks, and not running out. Mike Sigel, by the way, breaking the balls 8 times, pocketing balls 6 of those 8 breaks, running out only once. Now, it looks like Mike Sigel has been out-breaking Earl.
And that in itself is unusual.
That was a nice shot. That shot has a tendency, when it hit that hard, to come back at you quite often, but as cleanly as Mike Sigel hit it, no chance. Mike Sigel, by the way, along with Buddy Hall, I believe, lost their first match in this tournament, creating a much more difficult task for themselves.
I don't know if he drew this quite enough. He's going to have to make a pretty good shot on the 8 here. Stayed down nicely, kept his head real still and struck right through it. Mike is feeling good out there playing, I can tell. His last couple matches he's played real nice.
He's calm.
Yeah.
He's calm. You know when he's not calm, and it shows so much in his demeanor at the table, but he seems quite calm. And the score certainly is an indication that he's quite calm, extending his lead now by 2 games over Earl Strickland, 8 games to 6.
You know, I kind of enjoy the demeanor of the players and the characters that we have here. And wouldn't it be interesting to, instead of interview the winner, interview the loser of this match?
Oh, if the winner of this match is Mike Sigel, I don't think I would want to try that out. Nothing yet. There's the 2 on the side.
You hit him good and square. I'll tell you, Mike's been a little fortuitous on this break. A couple times he hit him pretty good, and then just the last ball trickling, get a kiss, or awkward angle to the side, get a ball to drop.
Okay, now Mike may use his right hand in playing a safety here off of the left side of the 1 ball. No, he's stretching.
I guess he's going to bank the 1 up the table and try to put the cue ball over there behind the 4.
You think so? Oh, he needs some more roll off of the 1 now. I don't think he got it. That's what I didn't like about that shot. I myself would have opted to go ahead off the left side of the 1 ball, sending the cue ball down table, creating lots of distance. And since there weren't any balls up there, I wouldn't run the risk of being hooked. But now he put the 1 ball down table where the 3 is. You know, there's a lot of bad things that could happen to him there. He almost missed that. Seems to be struggling a little bit out there.
Yeah, he made a comment to the fact that he wasn't playing well, and That usually doesn't do too much to pump yourself up. Well, he didn't make this any too easy by the angle he achieved on the 7. Looks like now he's going to have to duck the cue ball underneath the 9.
Can he reach this shot?
Yeah, I believe he can reach it.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll just apply inside English and try to... Oh, he went around the 9. That's a nice shot.
Yeah, he made that look a little easier than what we thought it was. That's partially a tribute to his great skills and partially a tribute to our angle of viewing here.
And due to Mike Sigel's inability to play good safety in game number 4 at 15, EARL Strickland had an opportunity at the table, took advantage of it, and comes within 1 game of a lead now, trailing only by 1 game, 7 games to 8.
You know, he has that attitude that no lead is insurmountable also, and he's well aware of his ability to break and run out a bunch of racks, and I'm sure he's
Well,
thinking
there's
like
valid
that.
reasons why he should have that attitude.
I think he's going to try to show us one right now.
There's the corner ball. The 1 ball is going to disappear. He's going to have a shot on the 2. Let's take a look at the 5. The 5 and the 6 seem to have found a nice snug. The 5 snugged up to the 6, and it doesn't appear that it's pocketable in the upper right-hand corner pocket. The 4 and 8 are grouped together near the foot spot to the left of the foot spot.
And
There's
for any of the
problem.
fans that weren't aware of that, he's pointing it out to them for them so that they can fully enjoy this match. He's kind of walking around mumbling a little bit.
I don't know how he's going to take care of the problem or deal with it. Looks like he wants a nice angle on the 4 to try to come up table and either brush the 5 or end up near the side cushion, playing position for the 5 either in the side pocket or even possibly in the lower left-hand corner. But he has to be careful here not to hit the 9. The angle should dictate exactly where the cue ball will go. Oh, it looks like he did hit the 9. It looked like he brushed the 9 there ever so lightly. Very unhappy about this. He's going to thin the 5, sending Mike down table. Mike doesn't figure to have any type of a shot after this is over.
Boy, what nice speed he used on that. Now Mike has a kick shot that'll possibly pocket the 6 ball, but a very difficult one. But he doesn't have too much else for a choice of shots here.
Mike has that certain charisma about himself that you just have to like, you know.
Yeah.
He talks to the crowd when he's playing, you know. He's usually a pretty good-natured guy at the table.
Oh,
He
boy.
says, I think I'll just kick in the 5-6 combination and take care of business.
That was a fine shot.
Is that okay?
He's really a special type of a personality. I really enjoy being around him, particularly when he's playing well.
Yeah. He came back with another nice shot. And then a third great shot in a row to get to the easy 9 ball.
Yes, he did. That's 9 games for Sigel, 7 for Strickland. Let's take a look at the kick shot Mike had, Mark. It looks like it's laying reasonably well if he's able to contact the 5 ball solidly, and that's what it takes. It's a solid hit on the 5. That's exactly what he did. He hit the ball solidly, forcing the 6 into the pocket.
And beyond that, you have to have good cueing technique. If you're just a hair off center at that speed, it reveals the English on the rail, and then it doesn't come back and land the proper way on the 5 ball to make the 6 ball.
There goes the 1. 6 in the side. Nothing for Mike.
Well, we may see a jump shot here. Earl kind of prides himself on that stroke. And yeah, we are going to see one. And a fine shot.
Certainly was. Jumping over the 8 ball. It was quite a distance from the 8 jumping. He's going to have to go into the 3 here and take his chances. You don't want to get too deeply behind the 3 here. Oh, he went into the 3 first, which was an excellent shot.
That ball's got to go in, though.
Earl's commentating the match along with us every now and then. You can hear him add into it so that the casual fans here can enjoy all the nuances of each rack. What a fine shot that was.
Great stroke also.
Yeah.
He'll draw this back for position for the side pocket, it looks like.
Nice easy outs on that group. Other guy, you had the one hanging out every rack.
There he had a nice stroke. It wasn't an effective draw. It was kind of a sliding ball with some backspin on it. Forced it down the table where he needed to be. Now I look for him to come back to the other half of the table and
now
take
this
the
shot
side
he's going
pocket
to have
out
to
of play.
stretch. He's stretching here. He could scratch in the side pocket unless he goes 2 cushions around the 9. I like 2 cushions around the 9 myself.
I see.
He has to be careful of the point of the side pocket. Quite often this ball is struck where it does hit the point. And he shot it away from the point very wisely, and in doing so, he comes within 1 game of the lead. 8 games to 9.
Easy out. My opponent never had out like that. That's routine for me.
Here's
He jumps
the shot
over the 8.
yeah.
Take a look at that shot there. That was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Great shot. Great shot, and I like the replay.
Well, to tell you the truth, I enjoyed some of the other shots of that rack that were fairly testy. That was a good opening shot, though.
If you notice what Earl did, he let up a little bit on the break, taking a little velocity away from the break, and he was able to control the cue ball much better in doing so. Because that's been his undoing so far in this match, is he scratched in the side twice. If he can stay away from the side, I think that he's going to be very difficult to beat. Off of the break, that is. If he can stay away from the side, scratching on the side.
What's he going to do here, Bill?
Oh, I mean, who knows? He may try to play the 9, but that's a very difficult shot. Very difficult shot. I would myself try to position the cue ball behind a 5 and a 3, setting the 1 ball up table. That's too soft. He's going to give Mike some type of a shot. Or is it too soft? It looks like he may have gotten away with it. Matter of fact, he has.
He jumped you.
Earl's calling for Mike to get out the jump cue.
Right here, this stinky jump. I use all my knowledge and skill, and he's got to use a toy.
Well, either way, this isn't going to work out real good for Mike unless he's able to make the ball.
Or do this.
Did he catch a roll here? I think he did. Earl will truly be dissatisfied with these results.
What if Mike would be benevolent here and offer Earl the jump cue?
Not unless he'd like to wear the jump cue.
Run that back and see if this is, if execution is allowed in this sport to go out. It shouldn't be allowed. As simple as that, you shouldn't be allowed.
Earl's discussing the ramifications of the legality of a jump cue with the crowd, much to their amusement.
Let's take a look at
I'd
the
be
shot.
almost tempted to knock the 9 in here because it's awful difficult to come out of this shot with leaving him nothing. Geez, he did make a good hit.
And he left the balls perfectly positioned for Mike Sigel.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard to swallow, though. I can sympathize with Earl Strickland in that sense, is that the jump cue is a tool that very possibly should never have been accepted into the game, but since it has been accepted into the game, then he's going to have to deal with it along with everyone else.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
the best way to deal with it is to start using one.
If it was to be outlawed, then it comes into a host of gray area. Then do you cut it off? Can you have a 54-inch cue? Can you have where would the limitation be? And henceforth, there really hasn't been any limitations regarding cues in the rules that I know of. Well, Mike's made a couple balls on the break this time.
Just a few. And he has a shot in the side. It's not an easy shot by any means, but it is a shot. If he's able to put the 2 ball down, the 4 ball is conveniently placed by the 8, where he should have a shot on the 4.
Well, he senses blood, and I'm sure he's going for this ball in the side pocket. If he makes it, it's
it looks like he's
inevitable.
no. It looks like he's not going for it. It looks like he's playing to
He's
drive
lining up the safe. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
The safe is no bargain either.
No.
And,
No,
I think
unless
he'll
he
choose offense. I think he will.
No, he's not going for it. He's trying to position the cue ball behind the 4.
Well, he hasn't done so yet. I think he's still going to go for offense. Well, I was wrong here. And boy, what a shot.
That's exactly what he tried
What
to
a
do,
shot.
and exactly what he did.
He had the skills available to run out there, but he chose a little bit safer shot. This could be a difficult kick here. Earl's changing his mind, his cue position 2 or 3 times.
Oh, almost
great.
kicking it in.
And may come out of this all right. Under the circumstances, came out of it excellent.
I look for Sigel to bank the 2 cross corner here. It's a risky shot, but he's going to have to go for it.
Mike almost wishes he'd played the 2 in the side pocket to begin with now, as opposed to have to go after this ball.
He may be trying to position the cue ball behind the 5.
You called it, Bill.
But of course, they need that cue to win.
And I think he's allowed Earl at the table with the shot. Rick, can we get an angle on this and find out whether or not he can pocket the 2? Earl's going to have to go airborne again one more time. He's going to have to illustrate how the jump shot is supposed to be executed with a regulation cue.
So you think he's going ballistic here, huh? I don't know. Pretty
I think
difficult.
in just a few seconds we're going to see him elevate to a point where he's going to have to jump over the 5. I don't believe he can pocket this 2-ball shooting it in this fashion. And I don't believe he's gotten away with this shot. He hit it too hard.
He got the cue ball right on the rail, and that certainly diminishes what you can do with it.
Now, Mike Sigel is an excellent shot maker.
Excellent. He's going to work on this 2-ball right now, speaking of shot making. Beautiful shot.
Certainly does.
The difficulty of that is more so than what it appears to the eye.
Especially with the speed that he hit it with. He should just go 2 cushions across table on this shot.
And I don't think he'll overpower it either. I think he'll use a real nice stroke on this ball. Didn't try to get absolutely perfect on it, but settled for something and well within his range of capability to make.
I like Mike draw on this ball coming on this side of the side pocket.
Hey, he looks like he's just going to use follow.
Right,
Go
it looks like
out to
he's
the
just
center
gonna-
of the table, 2 rails.
And now he's found himself.
Cut in
I'd
the
say I
middle.
like drawing that ball and getting closer to the 7.
Yeah, he would have liked to got a little more angle here, but as good as he's pocketing the ball, I think he figures that he can draw this back to the center of the table and just cut the 8 in. Well, he went all the way across with it. No problem. Well, I think the use of the jump cue turned that rack around, didn't it, Buck?
Well, that it did.
And that was a big rack, too. The score is now 11 games for Sigel and 8 games for Strickland.
And if you notice the stats, they're very impressive, particularly Mike Siegel's 945, only missing 2 balls and winning 11 games to Earl's 8, 86 pocketed balls to Earl's 78. The scratch on the break seems to be where Earl Strickland has faltered, and it's proven to be quite costly.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of amusing. There's only 8 balls pocketed difference, but yet there's 3 9-balls pocketed difference of those 8. There's 3 more 9s for Sigel.
Now, Earl will go to the table. Now, he hasn't noticed that the 2 and the 5 are tied up yet, but when he goes to the table, he'll certainly, you know, recognize that the 2 and the 5 are tied up and bring it to the attention of the viewers and the
Oh,
spectators.
I think
in the
he'll
stand.
definitely illuminate that here shortly.
Now, he'll notice the 2 and the 5, and he'll make some sort of a gesture.
Tell you what, he may go for a cross-corner bank on the 2. Try to generate some offense here and turn the tide of momentum his way. I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Cross side bank, I think, is
Cross sides available?
what we were saying.
Okay. Well, that opened him up pretty good. Now if he can get on the 4. After pocketing the 3 on the side. Fairly long bridge. He didn't really get real good on the 4 here, but this is kind of a shot maker's shot.
I'll tell you, a lot of strange things can happen here. If he happens to brush the 7, he may go into the 9. He's drawing the ball here. And he missed the 4 ball. And it looks like he's going to leave Mike hooked behind the 9, but Mike doesn't mind at all because he's at the table.
Well, this will be interesting to see which way Mike goes after this 4 ball. I think he'd like to kick behind the 7.
I don't think there's much
come at it.
future here for Mike. I myself may kick it hard.
I think he's going to kick behind the 7. Then he could either pocket the 4 straight away or possibly cross bank it or possibly let the cue ball up the other end of the table and leave the 4 on this end. I think this is the one way that offers a little better value for your shot. He landed a little heavy on it.
A little too much the other way.
Well, Mike described it much as I did. He said he hit a little too much the other way.
That's too soft. That's too soft. You know, his game has changed a little bit. He's starting to lose that confidence.
Well, that
and
wasn't
lose
just
that
easy.
feel.
That was a little awkward there. When you put topspin on it, the ball didn't want to go the direction that you really like it to go. He certainly made a nice retaliation shot there for the bad position he made.
And once again, he's found himself out of line. He really isn't controlling the cue ball as nicely as he wants.
Well, he's accustomed to this. This doesn't bother him too much when he's right. He just pockets these balls and goes on. He's falling perfectly for the 9 here. Score's now 11 games to 9. Sigel.
You have to watch out. He's so explosive. You know, anything can happen.
Well, Strickland's gone back to the original side of the table here he started breaking from. And
Here's the 8 ball.
I don't know why he'd go away from the side that he made 5 balls from. Boy, they were just bursting open for him. They're pretty good.
I tell you, the ball's opened up quite nicely here. If he's able to pocket the 1 and get some sort of a shot on the 2.
Well, you're liable to make a ball from anywhere, any side of the table, even the middle of the table. I'm just saying, percentage-wise, you'd think he'd feel more comfortable with the other side of the table. Apparently not, though. Rail first. A little bit of left-hand English. Back out to the center of the table. Center of the table is the most important place to be able to get your cue ball. That's the place where a lot of times when you're not quite sure about how to get on a ball, that's where you should put the cue ball.
Well, I don't know if this is ideal. I know it's not ideal. He's going to have to do some traveling with the cue ball, and there's a lot of traffic on the street that he's going to have to choose. Well, if he hits the 3 here, he's got a problem. He avoided that, so therefore now he's in line.
I don't think he got the cue ball exactly the angle he was after there. Now he's going to have to let the cue ball go to the end cushion and back up, which requires a little more power. I was wrong. It was fine. Like to have been a little straighter in on it. How you feel about this combination, Bill?
Oh, Earl's such a great combination player. He really is. He's pretty close to the ball. You know, he's got to hold Earl, and if the only way he can hold him is stop his break. Earl's got a tremendous break. He opens many doors with it.
That's the first break and run out Earl's had in this set. We've been informed, and if he does that a couple more times, he could regain his good humor.
Well, that's hard for me to believe. That's the first time that he's run out in the set when you consider how strong of a break he has. There's the corner ball again. He's going to get another shot. There goes the 1. The 5 is the only ball that may create a problem for him here. This may be the last rack that will be able to get on this tape. So there's a good possibility after the rack is over,
Earl made a good opening shot there to get at these remaining balls. He's going to try to fall between the 5 and the 6.
He might go
position.
behind the 6 here.
Oh,
He gets snookered on that ball.
He's almost crying out there. No way to get snookered on that ball, and I thought he was going to really, I mean, that was really ill-fated. He's really ill-fated in the respect that he got hooked behind the 6.
You don't need him. I'm not. There's no way to get snookered. That ball's good.
yeah, this is going to be a tricky position.
He's really
to play
locked up
from.
here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have to try to kick one rail and feather the 5 to leave it kind of in the same position it's in and bring the cue ball up here.
I just don't.
Don't you think that's what he's going to think about doing?
I don't know what he's going to do, Mark. He's
I
really
think he's going
in
to try to
trouble.
feather the 5 to the rail to leave it in virtually the same position it's at.
But I don't think he can hit it.
Oh, I think he can. Yeah, I think he definitely can get by there. If you look on the monitor, you can get a pretty good view of it. It's just such a difficult shot. He's going to have to just graze the edge of the 5 here in order to obtain that type of shot. Otherwise, he's going to have to kick wide open and take his chances. Look at that great shot.
Well, Sigel can come with a shot
Yeah,
himself there.
He's going to have to make a good shot, though. At least he saved himself the indignity of just leaving them all hanging.
He's either going to go cross-eyed or cut it down at the corner. Cutting it down the corner, he's going to have to control the cue ball nicely. Oh, he's going to go forward, playing a little left-hand English.
And then should he miss the ball, there's a chance to come out of it without just leaving it totally dead in the water. No, he didn't play it that way. It was just wide open offense.
We might have to change the tape as soon as this rack is concluded, so bear with us. Sigel shooting the 7, leading in the match 11 games to 10. I don't like the shot he made. Tell you one thing, he made a poor shot on the 7. This is a real bad position to be on the 8. That corner pocket is a very big pocket. And if he happens to try to avoid the pocket, he might overcut the ball.
No.
He's fine, I think, isn't he?
Get away from the table.
And that's where he ended up, in the corner pocket. He misplayed position on the 8, and it probably may cost him the match.
Okay, the score is now 11 games apiece, and what a big turnaround that was. The position on the 8 ball wasn't just perfect. It made for a much testier position on the 9, and the cue ball got away, as Bill prescribed. And now Earl's...
Mike Sigel might not even have another opportunity at the table. He misplayed himself out of position on the 8, and it was really a big mistake, really a blunder on his part. Earl Strickland has more energy in him right now than this hotel has.
Should he go on and win this match, I would predict that we're going to be informed in the interview of all the atrocities that occurred in this match. Well, Earl's got a shot maker's type of shot here.
He may have positioned the cue ball rather straight on the 6. It doesn't look like he has much angle here.
Yeah, he's spending some energy lamenting the fact that he didn't get to the right angle. He's such a great shot maker, though. If he gets anything at all, he's able to stab it in the 7 ball. That's what he's looking at now. He'd just like to get the cue ball off the rail just a little bit. If he can follow ahead and get off 6 inches or so.
Looks like he's going to play rail first here.
Yeah, just to give himself a little room to stroke. This is quite possibly the win or lose shot of the whole match right here.
No, he didn't even come close to pocketing that ball. That was really, really, really badly hit. Mike Sigel steps to the table. He doesn't have a picnic to look at here, but he at least has a shot. He feels it too. Why does anything ever come easy, he said to himself. Why does it have to be this tough? Why does it have to be this tough? Well, that's why you're a champion, because you respond to the challenge. Let's see if you can do it one more time.
Well, that's why this pays good to win this match too. Yeah, I'd say to fire this ball in with topspin, you're really only shooting it at a half a pocket, and you got to catch that half a pocket nice and clean. Takes a very pure stroke. Well, he raised up pretty good on that stroke. If Pat replays it, I think you'll see that he definitely moved his body on over into
when he was aiming at the ball, I could tell that he wasn't going to make it because he was pointing at it instead of feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't feel the shot, he was pointing at it. I noticed the way he was stroking it, he was pointing instead of feeling it. And that's a shot that you have to feel.
Okay, Earl takes the lead in the match here. 12 games to 11. Now let's take a look at, this is the turning point in the match now.
This was a shot that really, if Mike goes on to lose the match, that was the shot that cost him the match right there. There goes the cue ball. No, it didn't find its way into the corner pocket. Now look, this is quite interesting in itself. He's going to have to play the one ball cross corner here, or else play the cue ball behind the 3. He could play the cue ball behind the 3. I think that's probably the proper shot.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Earlier in the match, when he was presented with an opportunity like this, he went right after the cross side and damn the torpedoes. We'll see if he's changed his nature here. He's thinking about it a lot more than what he did the last time. Looks like a safety stroke, and it is. Following Billy's prescribed method.
He's in the optimum position to jump over the 8 and 4. Very
well,
close
I was
to the
going to
rail.
say that would be the heartbreaker here if he was to jump over that, pocket the 5 on the side or something. No,
I would strongly consider jumping here.
I would too. Looks like he's kicking to only half of a ball.
Maybe we can go back to this spot after this rack is over, possibly. He says he's going to kick the 1 on the side, and then the 5's going to kick the 9 in.
Well, he hit it. Well, it looks like Earl's going to shoot the 9 here.
Here's the 1-9. Here's the 1-9 combination coming up right here for the match for Earl Strickland.
It's pretty tough. Take off a pure shot. Oh boy. What a shot. Well, we had a great match there, Bill.
Strickland. Can we have a hand, please, for Captain Mike Sigel, National Club. Earl and Raphael both will be back at 7.
I wonder if Pat could possibly replay the shot that Mike missed, the 7 ball. All right.
Let's do this. Let's play back that one shot that Mark requested, and then let's keep the stats on the board when we have the interview, if you don't mind. Okay. Okay, Earl's up here right now for an interview, so why don't we bring up the stats on the board, Pat, if it's possible to do that. Now, I'm going to test this microphone. Is it on? 1, 2, 3. It's up. The red microphone. It's on.
Okay.
Okay. Congratulations, Earl. It was really a sharply contested match by both players. You naturally eventually winning at 13 games to 11. It looked like it was going to be Mike Sigel until he scratched on the 8th, and I know you weren't feeling very good at that time, but that's not the case.
Well, I'm very fortunate he scratched on that ball. If he doesn't scratch on that ball, I don't think I'll be sitting here giving the interview. I think Mike would. But we both played very well, and you know, between me and him, when we play, if ever who gets a couple of good breaks off the break and stuff like that usually wins the match.
And Pat, are you going to put the stats up on the monitor? I want everyone to see exactly how well both of these players played. Okay, Earl Strickland shooting a 9.24, well above world-class speed. Mike Sigel a 9.18, and it was a very well-played match by both players out there. Earl, there's an area on the board there where you scratched twice on the break. If you would have went on to lose that match, that would have definitely been your undoing.
Well, I think my match earlier, I scratched a couple of times on the break, and that's the reason I lost the match. I didn't break the balls well. And it's not that I'm not breaking the balls well. It's either I'm scratching or not getting a shot. And that's really what beat me in my match earlier today, and it almost beat me there too.
Well, with the explosiveness of Earl Strickland, it's hard for me to believe that you can really lose out there, because you break the ball so well, and your shot making ability is just way up there. And then you start feeding off of all of that, and then you're just a momentum that's very, very difficult to stop.
my playing skills right now are better than my break, actually. So I need to get them both working the same. You know, just like golf, you got to chip and putt as well as you drive. So that's what I got to do. I got to make sure and not scratch on the break. I think that's the key to me staying in this tournament.
If you can keep out of the side pocket off your break, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to come and beat you right now.
I think so too.
Okay, you have anything to add to that, Mark?
No. Good match.
Thanks,
okay,
Mark.
Greatly played match. You know, you played a wonderful match, and congratulations once again.
We always see some good kicks and some really good safety play when me and Sigel play. You really see the true beauty of this game when me and him play, except for the fact that he used a jump cue on me one time.
Yeah. By the way, you defeated the very sound Mike Sigel today. He's really playing well. He defeated Johnny Archer earlier in the day, 13-3.
Mike's beaten me the last 3 times I played him, and you know, his nickname suits him fine. He hooks you, puts you in possible places, and he kicks like a mule. I mean, he kicks as good as any player on the tour. So like you said, he's playing very sound. I'm glad to beat him.
Yeah, I'm certainly sure you are. Anyways, congratulations and good luck in your upcoming match.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Well, Mark, it was a very exciting match, and I'm certainly sure Pat Fleming and ACCUSTATS are very pleased with the match in every respect. And anyone who watched this match was thoroughly entertained. This was really a classic match, because it could have went either way. Fortunately for Earl, Mike scratched 2 cushions in the corner pocket, and he was the one up here with doing the interview. And like I said, it could have went either way. This time it went in Earl Strickland.
Well, you know, the only thing I have to add is that that could have just as easily been the final match of the whole tournament. That's the type of a match it was. 2 great players, and played a great match. And that's why I like to impress upon people. Come to the tournament early, because you see all kinds of great matches throughout the week, and sometimes the last match doesn't fit the billing, you know.
Well, certainly a very entertaining match, and I'm glad I was here to do it with you. Thanks a lot, and I hope you join us later on in the tournament. We only have a few matches left, and I really enjoy you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bill.
On behalf of Mark Wilson, this is Bill Incardona. Thanks a lot for supporting ACCUSTATS. Give Pat Fleming a call, 1-800-828-0397.